If fear, self-doubt, and lack of confidence is holding you back from getting started and pursuing your creative dreams, then today's episode was made for you. Stay tuned. The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. So starting off, I want to give you the 3 causes of self-doubt which make us feel like we're not enough. And I'm a big quote guy. I don't care if you think they're cheesy. They get me fired up and they really hit home. So one of my favorite quotes is, "Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will." And this was from Susie Kazam. And the following concept I'm about to talk about comes from Lewis Howes, a big-time influencer, motivational speaker. And I went to his Summit of Greatness last year, October 2018. I actually put out an episode about it, episode 101 at perspective-collective.com/101. It was an extremely enlightening experience, life-changing, and it's really helped me develop my core brand message and what I want to deliver and who I want to become and what I want to achieve in life. But he mentioned that the 3 causes of self-doubt that hold us back from starting and chasing our creative dreams fall into these buckets of fear. And the first bucket is the fear of failure, and that's being afraid to look dumb or not doing well at something, especially starting off in the beginning because we're not perfect. The second bucket of fear is the fear of judgment, and not only from trolls and people online, normal people in social media, but for me, it's usually the fear of judgment of the people I respect and looked up to the most who don't take me seriously or think I'm full of shit or think I'm corny, think I'm cheesy, whatever. They're just on a different vibration and frequency than me, so it's okay. But that's what I used to deal with and sometimes still do at the same time, especially with imposter syndrome. And then finally, the third bucket is the fear of success. And I've dealt with this before. It sounds weird, like who would fear succeeding in life? But for me, it's something like, maybe things get way bigger than I ever expect, and it drives a wedge between me and my family. Or maybe me and my wife start going off at separate paths. Or maybe it separates and takes me away from my son. Okay, so that's what I mean by fear of success. And those are the 3 things. And so imagine there's a 3-ring Venn diagram. All right, 3 overlapping circles. And within each circle is located one of these fears. Okay, so you got the fear of failure in one of the circles. You got the fear of judgment in another circle, and the fear of success in the other circle. And the overlapping center of all of these is where I'm talking about where they all add up and overlap to give you that feeling of you're not enough. And it's that self-doubt. And I believe it's that self-doubt and these 3 fears of buckets that hold us back from creating and designing this life that we want. It stops us from starting and pursuing and chasing these creative dreams. If other people don't believe in us and we don't believe in ourselves and we live within these fears, it's really hard to create that life that we want. And so that's why today I'm going to give you those 3 reasons why you need to start now. The first reason why you need to start pursuing your creative dreams ASAP is to avoid the what ifs when you're on your deathbed. And I got a couple things I need to read off here, but I got this from the book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, A Life Transformed by the Dearly Departed. And this one's by Bonnie Ware. And a lot of people do surveys of the people of the dying, and they collected a lot of this within this book. And the number 1 dying regret from these people on their deathbed was, "I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the lives others expected of me." And I hope that shit hit home with you, as it really hits home with me. And Bonnie states later in the book, "This was the most common regret of all. When people realize that their life is almost over and look back clearly on it, it's easy to see how many dreams have gone unfulfilled. Most people had not honored even a half of their dreams and had to die knowing that it was due to choices they had made or not made. Health brings a freedom very few realize until they no longer have it." And I have some additional thoughts I want to place on this. And this one, it really got me thinking because there's a lot of regrets I've had in my life, especially the first 25 years. It took me to the age of about 26 to finally tap into my creative potential, to get this little glimpse of who I thought I was able to become. A little bit of confidence in my life, and to realize, I had to believe in myself in order to make anything happen. And first off, don't let the thoughts and the influence of your family, your friends, and damn sure not acquaintances or trolls on social media deter you from pursuing your calling and making you settle for an average life. All right? That's a surefire way to go to your deathbed living with regrets. fuck that shit. I'm not about that. And another thought on this is, don't ignore the omens and signs of life. And I'm a big believer in the universe, the law of attraction, and when we're on our right path, more opportunities, more signs, and more omens are going to come our way. I love the book The Alchemist, although it's fiction. I love the concept of it as keep an eye out for the omens. The omens are guiding you along your path to the way, to the person you're supposed to become, your personal legend, the treasure that's buried within you, which I think is our potential, our gift. And the more you continue to ignore these signs and omens along your path, basically you're saying fuck you to your dream, fuck you to your calling, your vocation, and you're putting yourself in a position where your dreams are going to give up on you because you're giving up on them. All right, so that's what I mean by avoid dying on your deathbed, and I hope this really hit home with you and makes you want to start ASAP. All right, number 2. Another reason why you should get started ASAP is because you're going to regret not starting sooner. All right, and this is me to a T. And it's all about avoiding the trap of tomorrow. And I know you're guilty as hell of this, so maybe you've said this before to yourself. I'll start this when I have time. I'll start this when I have energy. I'll start this when I have the resources or the finances. Or I'll start this goal or dream tomorrow when I've hit this age or when I've landed this new job. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. I know you've done this shit before. This is what I'm talking about with the trap of tomorrow. And I want to tell you about my biggest regret. So my biggest regrets in life in terms of pursuing my creative dreams have never been like, damn, I should have never attempted that, because I'm a believer in failure. I'm a believer in pursuing things that light me up or intrigue me and experimenting and failing and finding progression. So I've never had a regret that's like, damn, I should have never tried that before. I should have never pursued that. My biggest regrets have always come from, damn, I wish I would have started this sooner. And let me tell you what I mean by this. So, for example, I wish I would have started sharing my work sooner. And for those who don't know me, this is the first time you've ever heard me talk about this topic, is I didn't start sharing my work until I was like 20 years old, okay? I was a closet artist my whole life. I got bullied, picked on, tormented, and I always kept a sketchbook by me, but I didn't want people to know I was an artist because I thought it would add fuel to the fire of someone picking on me, beating me up, whatever. Until my buddy in college discovered my stack of sketchbooks. His name was Tyson Sulzberger, and he was on my ass about sharing this work online. And back then, Facebook was like the new thing. It's when you needed an actual college email to get access to the platform, okay? So that's how long ago I'm talking about. And that was so freeing for me. And people didn't make fun of me. It's funny. And then once I graduated, I started sharing on this little platform called Instagram. And it changed my life. It gave me the validation, the confidence to realize like, hey, I'm an artist and I can make something happen with my life. But eventually it got to the point where I thought I had more to share than just a pretty polished post on Instagram, and I started blogging back in 2015. And again, I've never regretted blogging. I'm not saying I'm the best writer, but I regret not starting it sooner, because blogging allowed me to channel my thoughts. It allowed me to find my voice. It was kind of like a journal to let me work through a lot of shit in my life, of the bullying. It allowed me to get over the depression or work through moments of anxiety, things that I had these internal conflicts with. So I regret not starting it sooner, because blogging really opened me up, helped me find my voice, but it also gave me the opportunity to start public speaking, which is another thing I was afraid of. I wish I would have started sooner, but I also wish I would have started that sooner because it led me to the podcast sooner. I started the podcast in I started the podcast in August 2016, but I decided I wanted to do a podcast in April 2016. And so I was scared as hell. I regret not starting it sooner. I was really intimidated, perfectionism, the fear of judgment from peers, the fear of judgment from people like you. All of this held me back. And I regret not starting the podcast sooner. And now I regret not starting video sooner. Video's been my biggest fear for over 2 years now. Video has terrified me. And it wasn't until my homie Colton Bachar and Ben Haggerty really pushed me in July, when Ben Haggerty of Ben Real vs. World was on the podcast. He really laid into me about getting video on it. And the year before, he laid into me as well when I had him on. He's the first repeat guest. And then my homie Colton Bachar, one of my Iowa homies now living around here, he reached out to me after Ben's episode, asked me if he could help me with video, and that was the spark I needed. And my biggest regret is not starting video sooner. And overall, my biggest regret is not investing time and effort into myself and my dreams and personal development in my business. So, my biggest regret is not starting sooner. It's never been, oh shit, I never should have done that. So, and I think the biggest way is to take action. All right? Take action on this stuff so you don't regret starting sooner. And if you regret that you haven't started yet, act on it. Action leads to failure, and failure is necessary for growth. Cool. We got that. Moving on to number 3, and the biggest reason you should get started ASAP is that you're robbing yourself and others of your gift. And here's a quote. I've heard other people claim that it's from Picasso. I've heard other people claim it's from my homie Billy Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. Nobody knows, but the quote is dope, and it means a lot to me. And it says, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And think about that for a little bit. We all have this untapped creative potential, and I strongly believe it's our duty to spend our days trying to discover it so we can share it with others. All right, we need to find our gift. We need to tap into our potential so we can find happiness in ourselves and spread that happiness to others in the form of value, entertainment, inspiration, or education. And you're robbing yourself of your current and future self-happiness, self-worth, fulfillment, and you're robbing others of the value your gift can bring them as well. And so overall, these 3 ways or 3 reasons you should get started ASAP, I think it's important to provide an action step for all of this, okay? And the action step I want to talk about is attack fear. Very simple. And, I've put this in other episodes in the past, but I'm with all the quotes today, okay? So this one comes from David Joseph Schwartz, and do what you fear and the fear disappears. And Lewis Howes also said something at the Summit of Greatness, very similar to it, is lean into the fear until your fear disappears. Super powerful stuff, and it's so true. And the things that scare me the most of sharing my work, starting a blog, starting public speaking, started teaching workshops, started a podcast, and now video. Each little thing that scared me that I attacked has unlocked this new level of potential. It's allowed me to grow my voice, grow my platform, grow an audience, and make an impact on more and more people each time I seek that new fear and I chase it down. All right? So my action step for you is, what is the one thing that's holding you back from chasing your creative dreams? What is your creative dreams? And by the end of the day of when you first hear this episode, I challenge you to get uncomfortable and take that first step towards attacking that fear. Whatever that fear is, what's that first step you need to do? If it's sharing your work online, maybe it's creating something that day and making sure you post it to Instagram by the end of the night. Or maybe it's hitting post on your first your blog post. Maybe it's just asking out that guy or girl who you secretly had this crush on. I could have used someone hitting me up on this a long time ago when I was scared of girls, but it also could be something. I got a buddy who's dealing with this right now. It also could be, most importantly, having that hard conversation with a loved one who's not aligned with your current values or your dreams. All right, that's a hard one. Me and my wife have had go-arounds with it, had battles with it in the past because I didn't include her in my dream. I excluded her. I boxed her out, and it got me in trouble. It got us in a really tough spot at times, but now we're into it. We've had the hard conversations, and now she's on board with the dream, and I keep her included. She's a part of this. She's a part of everything I do. So, that's super important. That's the action step I want to go. That's the action step I want to give you today. So, my biggest encouragement to you is, don't go to your deathbed regretting the actions you never took that robbed you and others of your happiness and fulfillment. You deserve to be happy. That's it. So there you have it, PC family. That is my first solo episode attempt on video. Could be awkward, but whatever. It's the most important fact that I got started. All right. And video is slowly getting better as we go with the video quality, the audio, my cadence, my scripting. I got a lot of shit to figure out. But the biggest thing for me, my first video a couple weeks back, honestly, it probably wasn't the best. The content's always going to be good, but everything else needs a lot of work. But the most important thing that I'm proud of is that I got started. The first 10 episodes of the podcast, I can't even go back and listen to. But the most important thing is I started. All right? It's all about humble beginnings. And I've had a lot of humble beginnings, and it's always good to shake things up and become a rookie again. Be a lifelong learner. Be a student of life. And that's what this episode is about today. It's so important to get started. You don't want to go to your deathbed regretting this shit when you're hopefully 120. All right, maybe by the time we're all old as fuck, that's the going age is the standard. I hope so. But also, you're going to regret not starting it sooner, and you're robbing people of your gift, your potential, happiness. It's all so important. And I hope this was the encouragement and the action steps that you needed today to get a fire lit under your ass and get started. So if what you heard really made an impact on you, please give this episode a share. Again, screenshot, tag me on Instagram stories, and share it there so I can share the love back, and let's connect. And if you're seeking some type of creative community, okay, maybe you're by yourself, you feel isolated on an island, and you need to be surrounded by like-minded people, well then, please, come and join the family over at the Perspective-Collective on Facebook. We got a killer growing community of content creators all over the world. We got people every day sharing their work, providing feedback, getting encouragement, providing resources, providing pricing models, providing all types of guides to help you elevate your craft and get it to the next level. And we got people collaborating all over the world. So again, we would love to have you be a part of the family. I only plug it here on the podcast so we get the right people. So again, that's the Perspective-Collective on Facebook. We would love to have you. And if you found value in this episode or within the show and it's helped you with your creative grind, there's two ways you can support the show and give back. The first is by financially backing the show over at patreon.com/perspectivepodcast, as well as the second way of subscribing, leaving a rating and review. Wow, I really fumbled across that, but that's okay. By subscribing and leaving a rating and review in Apple Podcasts or iTunes, you're not only helping the show climb the charts in the arts and design category, but most importantly, it allows you to get some love back as the listener of the week, where I share you here in an episode as well as the show notes in the newsletter. And this week's listener of the week goes to Lime Biscuit from the USA. They titled it Short, Sweet, and Useful. They state, I like this podcast because Scotty gives good points and doesn't expect me to listen to 2 hours to do so. Just like a Joe Rogan podcast. I love that, but that's not me. I don't have all day. The podcast helps me keep my creativity stirring while not eating up my whole day. This one comes from Mark T. Sullivan, Lime Biscuit Creative on Instagram. So again, that's all you got to do. Leave a short review, plug your Instagram account. I'll gladly give you a plug there. That's all it is. And as I sign off, I need to give a huge thank you to my executive assistant, Paige Garland, my video specialist, Colton Bachar, and my homie Nick Jenkins for all the dope tunes you hear from Blookah. Support him online at SoundCloud, Spotify, and Instagram. That's BLOOKAH. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.